Look at them in their MAGA hats. Look at them with their white vans and their flags.
Let's shift over a little bit to something that happened during COVID that illustrates exactly what Russell is talking about perfectly. You may remember this. I think we played this once during COVID. This is an Australian ad. So an Australian ad from the government to scare the hell out of people during COVID. Now remember, he was talking about how the guys will have nice coiffed hair and the women will speak really nicely as they're pushing you towards authoritarianism. What's the easiest way to do that? Scare people, and then they will do it to themselves.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Authorized by the Australian Government, Canberra. I mean, you see the type of fear, right? I could play 4 gajillion videos roughly of how they did that to all of us. 6 feet, social distance, all of this nonsense, right? Only so many people can go into a store at a time. People yelling at each other over masks and all of those things, but they were doing it for you, right? And that's the distinction he's trying to make. That's very different than a bunch of Nazi foot soldiers walking into town and you know, murdering people and everything else. That's kind of the way we think of that authoritarianism, right? The boot on the neck. They're going to come in and someone's going to be a little bit different and they'll just kill them. There might be something a little more subtle that they're doing. And it's kind of a thing that they've done in almost every dystopian sci-fi movie. Bit more from Russell on how the intellectual class, this very same people who are telling you to do all these things that didn't work and get injected with stuff and all that, they don't really care about you. Weird, wild stuff.
There's no question that a rise in nationalism is an understandable response to rampant globalism. But the ongoing sort of finger pointing and condemnation of ordinary people I identify with, I recognize it because I grew up in those communities. Professional metropolitan people don't like working class people, don't like ordinary people, and now they've found a way to legitimize their hatred. Oh, they're all disgusting. They're all racist. Look at them in their MAGA hats. Look at them with their white vans and their flags. Look at them with their perspectives, with their unearned views and their belches and their beer. It's a kind of legitimization of a loathing of the people that are most connected to the nation, people that, generally speaking, a couple of generations ago were asked to sacrifice the lives of their sons and daughters for the idea of nation, an idea that they're now being told doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to illustrate some of that after this ad in just a second. But I do want to note that it's important when you see 2 guys like that sitting down in America today. And I keep talking about how these, you know, it's not really left versus right anymore, and it's mostly authoritarian versus libertarian. And I don't mean you're a card-carrying, shellacked member of the Libertarian Party. But it's, do you believe in centralized authority, which of course lends itself to globalism, and that there really won't be nation states? They'll be sort of the World Economic Forum layer, and they'll have their yearly meetings, and they'll tell the nations what to do, and a lot of people will just say, thank you, sir, may I have another? Or do you believe in more of a libertarian outlook on life, which would lead to functioning nation states, which is what we've had basically for the last 100 or so years, and that you would make some choices over your life? And that really is what the divide is. But there seemingly is a disdain. Remember when we showed you a bunch of those videos from the World Economic Forum last week, and you see these people, John Kerry's the easiest one to talk about, who flies on a private jet all the time. You also may remember, what was it, 2 months ago, testifying under oath that he didn't have a private jet. And then when he was questioned further, it turned out to be his wife's private jet. So they want all of the stuff. They will eat their Japanese A5 Wagyu. They will eat their foie gras. And then they will have you eating lab-grown meat and all of the rest of it, right? That is the disconnect.